Hey everyone, welcome to some Max Unity tutorials. This first one here, we're just going to talk about simple animation exporting and then setting up an animation in Unity. So we're going to go back to our door here. Our door has two animations all in the one Max file and in the one timeline, which is totally something you can do. So we have our door, it's all working, it's all rigged up, right? We have our root object, move around, all that great stuff. So we're ready to go. So we're going to take this guy, we're going to go to File, and just export and call it whatever you want, door A, set it as an FBX, hit save. And the most important thing in here you're going to need is make sure animation is on, otherwise you won't get any animations. And in here, right, set however long your animation is. By default, it'll take whatever your timeline is. So for mine, it's 0 to 40. I'm going to bake my animation as well. And set all my skins, formers, whatever, that's fine. And I should be good to go. So, I mean, cameras, lights I don't need, but it's not going to export them if I don't have them anyways. Units I'm going to set to automatic. And I'm going to hit OK. And that's it. I'm going to go back, open up Unity. I'm going to open up my project. I exported mine into gameplay, meshes, and I have a door right here. So let's just put that door in there. There we go. Look at that. We got a door. Our pivot point is nicely in the center. I don't know if you guys remember, but I told you your pivot point kind of matters. So let's just move it over here. Let's go export. Do that. Let's go back to Unity. And it called me a liar. Sweet. Okay, well that's good. I know sometimes Unity will kind of mess with your pivot point if it's not zeroed out. So you gotta kind of be careful. I know it does it specifically if you have a lot of game objects or if you're exporting multiple things. Maybe because we have a hierarchy, it kind of didn't do that. I'm not quite sure, but anyways, just be careful with that. You don't want to get yourself screwed over. So let's just zero out our door. There we go. Look at that beautiful door, right? So let's take a look at what we have to do to actually get this running. So number one, let's select our door and go into its import settings. So under model, you won't have to do anything. It'll make your materials for you. You can generate colliders if you really want, right? You hit apply, and then it'll make some mesh colliders for you, which is sweet. You can make them convex if you want to keep it simple. Right, and then you'll see here our door lock is here. It doesn't need a mesh collider unless you really want to collide with that thing. Maybe when it's open, so I'll set that to convex as well. You don't have to set things to convex, but I mean it runs better. So it depends on kind of what you're making. Anyways, so that's that. Next we'll go over to rig, and this is kind of an important one for animation. So by default it'll be set to generic, which is actually what we want for something like a door. You have legacy, which is like the old school animation stuff. I don't really recommend you guys use. And humanoid if you're making an actual humanoid. Now, avatar definition, it'll say create from this model, which for your door, your first door anyways here, you do want, which is all fine. Now, under animations, we can go in here, open up this little panel. It's our sweet sideways door, for some reason. And we can hit play, it'll open, and it'll close. And it's all great. Now, by default, our animation is called take one, and it's the whole frame. So what we're going to want to do is split these up into two different animations. So we will have an open animation. Make sure you hit enter or that name will not change. So we wanted to start there, and we can go back into Max and find out, what frame this finished at if I don't remember. Right, so 20 was when my animation finished. So in here I can go from 0 to 20 is going to be my open animation. I don't have to set any of this stuff because I don't want my animation to loop, so we'll just keep that there and we'll hit apply. Now with this open animation selected, you'll see I'll hit play and it'll just open. And it's closing just because it's looping it right now, just for visual sakes. Now what I can do is make another animation. I could hit plus, and then I can make a close animation, and I can go 21 to 40. I can apply, and now it'll close. So now I have two animations. Let's take a look at what that looks like in my project view. I can open this up and I'll have a close and an open animation. All well and good, but what do we do? Right? So we have this. If you click on your door, you'll see on the root you'll have an animator, which will have your avatar. Your avatar is just kind of how your bones are set up and stuff. You don't really have to worry about that. But we don't have a controller. We have no way of actually telling this door what animations we want it to play, because maybe your door has 20 different animations and you want it to play only certain ones or in certain orders, and you're going to need to access this door through code to play these animations. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to go into the project view, and wherever my door is right now under meshes, I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to create, and I create something called an animator controller. And I call this door A anim whatever controller, too many L's. Okay, so if I double click that, it will bring up this sweet little window here, which is our animator window. Now what we're going to want to do is set up an animation tree of when we want things to happen. So let's open up this door, and we're going to drag in our open animation. You'll see by default it will put that there, and we will put in our close animation, and I'll do that there. So what we want right now, we have our open animation. We'll see here. When you click on it, it'll bring up the inspector will change as well. And we have our close, which will just show you that it's closed there. Now what we can set up is this animation tree here. We can say what do we want to happen and when, and how do we want this door to open and close and stuff like that. So so entry, this is kind of where you start. You can set up whatever you want for this door here. Now what we're going to want to do is have this door transition. We want to be able to call this open right now. So what we can do from our any state, we can right click, go to make transition, and go to open, and then we can do the same thing, make transition, and go to close. Now what this will do is it'll just say from any point, if I call whatever variable I want, it will play this animation, and vice versa. And if you click on these little connectors, you'll get to see how they transition. So right now I have any state to close. Right? It doesn't really make much sense with the open and close thing, so don't really worry about it. Now I need some conditions of when this is going to open and close. So I'm going to need some parameters. So on the top left-hand side here, I have parameters. I have a little plus thing. I can select types of parameters. So I can do a float if I need to set, numbers, things like speed or time. I could do an integer if I just need things to be hard numbers. I could do a bool if I want to be able to set things on and off and all that. And a trigger is nice. It's kind of like a bool, but it'll automatically turn itself back to off. So I like using these a lot. So I can make an open, and then I can make a close. And then when I select these transitions here, I can go from any state. If I want it to close, I can select this plus sign here. I want to call the close animation, or the close parameter to call that animation, and I could do the same thing for open. Now that done, I can select my door, and I can drag this animation controller into here. And I think by default, my open animation will play because we are playing this open one here from an entry, which kind of sucks, right? We don't really want to do that. So what we might want to do is make ourselves an animation that just kind of keeps the door closed, or maybe we have some sort of looping animation. But anyways, now that it's open, I can have this animator open here while I'm in the play mode and select close, and it'll close. And if I click open, it'll open. And that's that. And our collisions are animating as well, right? I can call open even when it's open and force it to kind of open again, which is kind of silly. If I wanted all my doors to be closed, I could just set this guy as the default. So if I stop this, I could do set as default state. You'll see that entry here. We'll do that there. And so it'll just play my closed animation, which is kind of annoying, but that's okay. We can make a looping animation if we wanted to, and have that as the start, as like a auto close one, whatever we wanted to. So so that's pretty cool. You could do that. You could set up a couple other really interesting transitions if you really wanted to. So let's say we wanted to go from open to close. Now I could use my close transition if I wanted to call it automatically, but if I leave this empty, what it'll do is if I ever call open, once this animation is finished, it'll go to close. So let's take a look at this. I will open, and it'll automatically close it. Because right now, if you leave it blank, it'll just wait for this animation to finish, and it'll just autoplay the animation you have going on there, which is really handy for certain things, right? If you wanted to have an animation that a piston goes down and then automatically starts spinning for a while, right? You could have two animations and just have them do that, like auto set them up, so then you don't have to do everything by code, which is always sweet. I could do a couple other things here too. I could do exit time, so by default it will set however long this animation is, but if I put in 12 seconds, and I do open, it will wait 12 seconds. I shouldn't have done it so long. Closed. There you go. So you could do that yourself. You could set it up manually if you wanted to. All right, so you could do you know, whatever you want in here, right? You could do interruption source if you wanted to interrupt and stuff like that. You could select the speed as well. So if on any of these, or on the transitions, you just kind of select your time and stuff like that. But then the other cool thing you could do is, let's say I animated these doors and I'm like, you know what? These doors are just way too fast or way too slow. In this animation, in either of these animation things, each individual one, you have a speed multiplier or a change. So if I want to do 0.5 on my close and 2 on my open, all right, so now when I call open, it does it really fast, and close will go much slower. So it's a nice little extra level of control that I have if I ever want to mess around with stuff, which is super awesome. So now let's say we have our door and it's all working and it's great. But let's say I wanted to make a new animation for this door. I can add extra frames in here and do all that, which is great. Oh, is it 40? I guess it's not actually. Oh yeah, no, I guess it is. I should probably add a keyframe on there. But let's say I wanted to add a brand new animation. So what I could do is I could just save this max file as door cycle. Oh, I totally spelled that wrong. All right, so let's take all these guys. Let's delete all these keyframes here. Now we're back to scratch. So let's say I wanted to, for whatever reason, make a cycle animation of this door. Let's say it was a broken door. Let's say we wanted to have the off chance that these doors would break. So let's just do like a little cycle animation, right? Let's just do this guy opening, this guy opening. All right, maybe he closes. Maybe this guy like shakes a little. All right, and maybe this guy like closes again. Oops. This guy closes, but this guy like opens more. Whatever it is, right? I could just have like this door is kind of broken, right? Maybe I make this like a 30 frame animation cycle. I copy over this last frame here, and I turn looping back on just so I can kind of see what this looks like. All right, this is a terrible animation. All right, I probably want them opening and closing at the same time. All right, so maybe I want this guy. All right, let's get this guy closed. Maybe, you know, maybe when he gets here, he's like a little off kilter. All right, same with this guy, maybe over here. All right, let's just whatever, open them up a little bit. There we go. We have a really shitty door opening, kind of broken, right? Though it's malfunctioning, whatever, right? So we could even do this guy a little bit too, just kind of have him. And then I want to copy my last frame there. So you want to start in the same position as you ended. There you go. Look, broken there. That circle thing, actually I had it quite a bit. It's trying to lock and unlock, right? This thing's crazy. All right, so now we have this animation, but it's on its own, right? So we're gonna export. I'm gonna export my door. What we usually do in Unity is at, and then I'll do broken. All right, so I'll do the same thing, make sure my animation's set on, so you'd set it by 30 by default. And we'll go into Unity. And what we'll do is we'll keep this open here, the first door, and you'll see my second door, it's ready to have its animation taken out of here. So the first thing we're gonna do, which is the most important part, is under rig, instead of leaving it as a create from this model, we're gonna copy that and do copy from other avatar. And we will copy the door A. See here, door A avatar. I'm going to drag that in there, and it's going to use its kind of setup, and you kind of need this if you want to use animations from separate files. So we're going to hit that OK. We're going to go to animation, and we're going to see it's called broken, which is nice. And then we'll just have that. And for this one, you want to set your loop time to be on, and this means that when I play this animation, by default, it'll just loop it all. So in my animator, I can open up this door broken. I could put in my broken door here, and then from, maybe it opens, but then once it closes, I want it to break. All right, so let's just see. So we have, we'll open our door, opens fine. The player locks it, poof, and it just breaks. Right, so we've transitioned from our close animation to our broken one. You can kind of see it real time too, right? So I can do close. You'll see it'll run through that animation. It'll go there. And we could decide how it transitions in here too. If we select our transition, you'll see here it'll show you how long it takes to transition between these animations. If I do it really short, it'll just pop right in there. And there you go. That's kind of a quick and dirty rundown of your animators here. Right, I can always make a new trigger and do broke. All right, and then set up that guy to be a broke thing. And actually, I'm going to delete this transition. I'm just going to do this from any state, just in case I ever want to transition from anything else. There we go. So let's take a look at this. So we have our open, we have our close, and then we have our broke. All right, and then, oh, the player fixed it. Oof, you can play open. Or, the player fixed it. And, well, that close doesn't really work that great, but the open works fine. So anyways, then you could just start making, your crazy looking animation tree here. You have all these variables. You can call these through code, through Animator, and then you can set, triggers, set floats, whatever you want. You can use floats and stuff like this to drive things like character speed, velocity, power, whatever you want, right? I mean, we have, we have animation transitions for turning the character left and right, depending on the actual position that the thumbstick's in, all that kind of stuff. So you can feed all this stuff in as much as you like, and transition some sweet looking animation. So hope that helps. It's a quick and dirty kind of breakdown of getting a simple animation in here, setting up an animator, and getting it up and running. Thanks, guys.